What's up guys, and welcome to Void of This Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content. I'm still on my mission to play some ranked matches, and due to the fact that I had to pick support and I saw a lot of crazy Sephera games, especially against me, I decided to pick this hero and give her a try and see what she can do in the support role. So without further ado, I want to share my build at the start of the video with you. And as you can see, we are doing mainly a mage based layout here. We've got some utility, in fact, with the Tome of the Reaper and the support item, but nonetheless the rest is completely what you would basically play, maybe not with the Frost Cape, but the rest of it is pretty much standard. You can play her like this if you're playing her in the mage lane, like the mid lane as well, I guess. That said, Arcana wise, I went with mage damage instead of some tanky build, because she's got a lot of utility that is going to protect her, especially the ult and her second ability that is going to stun enemies if you hit that circle correctly. And my build consists of 10 times Violate, 10 times Devour, and we're taking 10 times Hex for the 7% cooldown reduction. The trend continues in our enchantment page. As you can see, we've got mana refill, and we've got Holy Thunder here to maximize our damage output with some enhanced restore, and the little minion kill ability here to speed up our laning phase. And this is basically the build that I wanted to try. You might do something with the green enchantment section. For example, if you take the explosive shield, that could have been nice as well, because it just gives you some tankiness. But let's see first how this build is going to play out in the game, and then we can talk about adjustments later on. So enjoy today's gameplay and bear with me. Alright, so to begin with, this is already update 34, so we have some tweaks around Zill. I think the developers decided to make him a little bit weaker, and there should be some tweaks on Emily as well. And I think Valheim has received some changes too, but Arthur, Natalia, Diochan, Grug and Telenas have not been hit by any changes. But that said, Telenas has already received some changes in the big Battlefield 4.0 update. And I already told you what the team composition is like, so I'm playing with Valheim on the dual lane against Grug and Telenas, securing the Spirit Bird here for my team. We've got Diochan versus Natalia in the mid lane. Our jungler is Zill, and we've got Arthur on the top lane against Emily, and the enemy jungler is not entirely sure about that. Just seen it in the loading screen, but I immediately forgot when I entered the game what the enemy jungler would be. And unfortunately, we already scored a first blood here, and that would have been some nice stuff on our Valheim. But I just realized that the kill secure or kill steal potential of Sephera is actually quite high, and you guys are going to see that throughout the entire video, because we're going to get a lot of kills that we should just not have been able to make. But I think the following up of Valheim was just not sufficient enough in order to secure those. So in this case, I decided to go in and secure the kill for my team, just to free them up a little and turn the tides against Grug, so that my team can roam freely. And what you guys... oh, Maganga is there as well, so they don't really have a true jungler, I suppose, in the opposing team. But what you have already seen, and unfortunately this is going to continue throughout the entire game, it seems that our Arthur was either playing a trollish lane, or he doesn't know anything about laning at all, which can also be true in Platinum where we play, and as you can see, we're going in completely aggressively. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to secure the kill on Dio-chan. That would have been quite nasty, but she is still alive, and that is putting Telenas in a pretty privileged position with a triple kill already at her hands, and my team going down 3-5. I guess Dio-chan and Telenas were playing together. That said, that comes from the name that they've chosen, so it's kind of clear that those two were in a duo lane. I don't know about the dual laning potential in our team. At least it wasn't clear on the first glimpse, and I'm getting that kill again. Oh my goodness. Even resulting in a double or triple kill if I would have been able to get Telenas. So if you want to help your team out, you need to be super careful, or otherwise you will get all the kills. As you've seen, I've already got 4 of the 5 kills that my team was able to score in this fight scene yet. And that is of course not an ideal sequence, because you should always try to get your damage dealers to be fueled up with gold and experience points, and that does not work out if you are getting the kills instead of them. So not really sure what to do against that, because Valheim should have played a little bit more aggressively, and that's something that I can tell. I was playing her so aggressively in this game. Like I basically took what Kraden is doing on his Toro all the time and decided to do it in a copied version of him, always going in, diving really deep, trying to get some damage on the opposing heroes and trying to maximize the damage output. And the idea was to soften up the enemies and then enable my damage dealers to secure those kills. But as you can see, it didn't turn out the way that we were favoring, and this turns me into the gold leader here at the beginning of the game. 5 minutes played, so that's about a third of the overall game length. And so of course this is going to change the longer the game continues, but I would say the outcome wasn't ideal. I should have stayed a little bit back, but then it's a complicated decision, because otherwise it's of course always better to get the kill and secure it for your team instead of not getting it at all and then leaving enemy heroes with just little portions of health, which enables them to go back to base and return to the battlefield with full life. And unfortunately, there's not really that much that I can do against Telenas with her extended range. She is just she's just ripping me apart. And Valheim gets himself caught here in a Grug ult, as my item didn't completely nullify it. And now it's our time to try to get back into the game. I'm putting myself up front here in order to protect Arthur, and I mean that worked out quite nicely, but then we have not any forces to go back and punish them for approaching our tower. And that is of course a really sad situation, and the first players in my game start to want to end the game by succeeding. But of course this is not something that I'm going to do, because even if the score isn't actually the brightest with 10 versus 16 and a lot of our towers have already been pushed, it's still manageable. Like, we can still win the game if we start to fight as a team. But as you can see, it's not working out properly. In fact, it's not working out at all. because Diochan is getting the first middle tower, Arthur is dying to the whole impact of Telenas and Grug and Maganga. Maganga even scores a double kill on my team, even if we had numbers there. So Arthur died, Natalia died, and Zil died as well, and I can't really see a reason for that because Zil is super mobile. He's basically the perfect counter to ranged heroes such as Telenas is, but of course Telenas is already fed, giving him a harder time, and it seems that Zil is a little bit underfarmed just because of the actions where Arthur was trying to steal some of the minion camps in the jungle at the beginning of the game, and this is putting Zil in a really bad position. So again, I'm trying to dive in quite deeply. That ultimate from Telenas was timed perfectly, and the Venom counters on Maganga end my life here in this attempt to protect the tower, and the rest of my team is already trying to fall back and get back to the fight with full health, because the enemy is just putting so much pressure on us that this is basically the only reasonable action that you are able to take in such a scene as this one. So finally we are able to strike back, at least for once, getting Diochan here. But it's not really helping us too much because now we are branded upon the opponent's middle tower, and I suppose that Telenas will not have a hard time defending that tower. But then I went on a mission to dive in deeply in order to repel her, and that turned out nicely, and now we even got Emily. So now the first window is open to get another tower, another kill for me, unfortunately. But I guess I am the one who is... Yeah, I've got more gold than Valheim, I've got more gold than Zil, and now I became some sort of carry for my team, but there's no way I can do anything against Diochan if she is positioning her templates in the right order. So I immediately fell back and tried to deal with the Maganga here, but my team grouped up entirely, and they didn't had any problems on getting him. Now I got the Sage buff because Zil is basically just fighting his own fight against Grug here, so I decided it's still okay to get that buff because he's not going to take it anyways. And now I try to be as fast as possible in a way to support our Zil, but as you can see, it's just not makeable. I just can't do it. I try to put as much damage as I can into Telenas, and at least my team was freed up to kill Grug. So now we are on the follow-up, trying to catch Telenas throughout her own part of the battlefield. But it's still not enough, and now it's the first chance to get the Holy Dragon. So I think this is basically a reasonable thing to do after we push the enemy back into their part of the battlefield. But as you can see, Valheim is already super low. Emily and Diochan are about to approach our last standing tower on the top lane. Zil is trying to defend it, but they do have the Darkslayer here to push into our tower. We are able to get Diochan here, but then we are not a match for Emily at all. And even if we're trying to fight it quite hardly, the Slayer is still standing, still alive. And now Arthur and Zil have to try to defend the base, which in fact actually worked out nicely. But to what price? The first tower is already beaten down, and as you can see, the result is quite frustrating. We've got 2 towers still standing, while the enemy has already or has still 2 towers in every single lane. So it's 6 towers versus 2. Nice hook here, but I think that is just the rest of the game. The enemy completely dominated us throughout the entire game. There wasn't any chance at all to even try to keep up with them in terms of pace and in terms of fighting capabilities. And now the only thing that we can do is try to defend our 2 last towers. And I'm just eating damage here. It's not even funny. And another Grug Hook just ruins my day. 21 versus 31. 5 kills, 7 deaths, 7 assists already on my account. And yeah, this game is basically over. There's not really that much that we can do against it. And you can see how well enemy team or how well teams can fight if they coordinate their actions into one single spot. What they did really good was going for objectives. It was not about the kills, but every single time they had the opportunity to take an objective such as a tower or the really important stuff, which is the Dark Slayer, they were there, they took it, and that is game. So really nicely played from our enemies, really poorly executed from my team, and that is of course ending in a really well-deserved defeat. For me, it just shows if you haven't got the capabilities of hyper carrying a team, if your team isn't succeeding in the first minutes of the game, you are going to have a hard time. I don't think that I would have had the means, but then we still tried because that's what we do, always trying our very best. And unfortunately, this was a defeat here. Would have been better to go on a tank build? I don't think so, because in this case it would just have meant that I would not be able to do any damage or get any kills at all, and I think that would have been even worse for my team in the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me what you think about Sephera and what kind of build you prefer on her, and we're going to see each other soon in another round of German. I think our gameplay, or your gameplay, my review part, and this is it. Stay healthy, have a good evening, and bye bye. Stay tuned.